If you're ever in the Appalachians and you hear your name whispered by a familiar voice, don't answer. Not because the woods are empty, but because something out there might be using that familiar voice to lead you off the trail. Tonight, 3 Appalachian encounters. One that brushes close to the supernatural, and 2 that feel all too human. You decide which is worse. The story comes from a guy named Cole who was working a seasonal ranger job in the Smokies. Cole was out walking a service path deep in the Smokies. The July heat was decreasing because the sun was going down. He was on a logging trail just after a storm. No tourists, no campers. Just a chorus of insects and the low thrum of far-off thunder. On his right, the ridge tilted up, old hardwoods and scattered spruce. On his left, the ground fell away toward a creek, which the other rangers had told him, "We don't go down there after dark." They didn't specify why. They never do. Cole had a radio with him, and he left the microphone on, not because he was expecting trouble. He just logged his notes that way over the microphone. He'd reached a blown-down tree, lifted a wet branch, and heard his name. Not shouted, said, "Cole," as if someone had stood just behind his shoulder. He turned. No one. The sound had this hollow quality, like a voice inside a bottle. He radioed dispatch out of habit. "You got anyone near my position?" And he got static. Then a bored reply, "Negative, Cole." Cole kept moving. Another 20 yards and it came again. Cole. This time from up the slope above him. Cole raised his hands up to his mouth to make his voice louder, and he shouted, "If you're off trail and you're hurt, call out to me. I'll find you." He didn't get any answer. Cole swears that the voice used a phrase his grandfather used to say to him when he was little, and his grandfather had been gone for years. That did it. He crossed the trail, climbed toward the voice, and every few steps it would drift behind him again, as if the woods were folding around him. At the top of the rise stood an old, breached fence, and past it, a lip of ground that dropped into a black pocket of trees. Cole had never noticed it. No trail, no markers, just a holler that seemed to eat the last of the daylight. He clicked his headlamp on, and to his utter bewilderment, the beam of light appeared to bend like fog with hands. He called again, "Hello, can I help you?" The reply came from the holler itself, whispering his name. Cole. Then something else his grandfather used to say when saying goodbye at the door. "Don't keep them waiting." Then Cole heard a second voice, faint, same timbre, but not right. A syllable stretched way too long, like a copy of a copy. Cole. Cole took one step toward the drop, and his headlamp hit stones. Not natural, laid stones. The curve of a forgotten ring, a burial ring, if you believe the older maps. He stepped back. The air felt wet and crowded. His radio popped. Another voice, barely above static. The voice was repeating his own words from just seconds ago. "Hello, I can help you." He stared at his radio. That wasn't possible. Cole backed away from the ring, turned, and walked briskly downhill without looking back. The voice followed him until the grade eased and the creek got loud, whispering his name, soft as a coat sleeve against bark. Cole. Then, nothing. Cole said, he doesn't know what happened, but he said that he would never go back and walk that trail anywhere near dusk again. And no ranger in that park logged any kind of rescue that night. If that story brushed the other side, the next two feel closer, too close, to the world we live in every day. This next story comes from a fella who was doing a solo overnight camping trip west of Brevard, North Carolina. He had picked a legal spot off a side trail, set up his tent, built a fire, and watched it shrink to glowing orange embers. The forest was very quiet. No one else had signed in for days. Just after midnight, he said he heard footsteps on the trail. Not boots, something softer, like tennis shoes, or maybe even bare feet. He clicked his lamp off and just listened. The steps stopped. Then, from somewhere in the tree line, "Hey, can you help me?" He unzipped his tent halfway. "You okay?" No answer. "Do you need help?" The voice came closer, but the steps didn't. Like the speaker moved without moving. "Come here, please." He had a whistle. He didn't blow it. Didn't want to escalate if it was some kid messing around. He said, "Stay where you are. I'll come to you." He stepped out of the tent with his light off, came around behind the tree, and waited. Then, the same voice repeated with the exact same tone. "Come here, please." He snapped his lamp on, swept the tree line slowly. No eye shine, no silhouette, just bark and distance. The voice shifted to his left, the same distance, the same tone. "Come here, please." He realized whoever it was pacing him. Wherever he aimed the light, the voice moved just beyond the edge of the light. Well, he said he got angry then, and he shouted, "If you need help, show yourself. If you don't need help, leave." Nothing. So he walked straight toward the voice, 10 yards, 5 yards, and the distance never closed. The words never changed. "Come here, please." Then he backed quickly to his tent, reached inside, grabbed his trekking pole and the bear whistle, and did what a ranger had once told him to do: make it known. 3 sharp blasts. The sound cracked the night completely open. The voice that had been taunting him stopped. Then, from the trail, far enough away to know it was a human throat, a short, ugly laugh. Not loud, just knowing. Of course, the poor guy didn't sleep that night. At first light, he walked to the edge of camp and found shoe prints. a narrow foot with a deep ball, like someone who is a toe walker. The tracks came to the boundary of his campsite, then stopped. No retreat, no side path, just stopped, like whoever it was had been standing there watching him, maybe for who knows how long. He made his way out of there quickly. Back at his car, he noticed mud across the passenger door, about knee-high, then a smear toward the handle. He hadn't parked in the mud. He drove straight to the ranger station. The report, of course, went nowhere. No crime, no witness, just a set of prints that ended where they shouldn't, and a voice that had called to him, taunted him, and harassed him, and really scared him from the dark. One more story, and this one feels like a trap that someone knew how to set and had set more than once. A girl who lived in a small town in the mountains of East Tennessee snuck out one night to meet two of her friends at an old fire tower. The girls used this fire tower like a clubhouse. The two friends were late, so she texted them, "I'm here." She had no bars. She pocketed her phone and listened. At the edge of the clearing near the fire tower, there was a gigantic tulip poplar with a forked trunk. When the wind hit it just right, the hollow where a branch had been torn from the tree made a note, like blowing in the neck of a bottle. The kids called it the calling tree. She leaned there on the calling tree, waiting. That's when a voice on the far side of the ridge called her name perfectly. But none of her friends talked that way, and this was a male voice. Emily. She stepped away from the poplar and called back. The reply came from the opposite direction. Emily! Down by the old fire road. She didn't think that voice was either of her friends. Emily! She pulled her phone out and tried to text her friends again. Still, no bars. She circled the clearing once and found twine tied low between two saplings, about the height of a shin. She lifted it from the leaf litter and saw 10 can tabs clipped along it every yard or so. If you ran through it in the dark, you'd go down hard, and whoever said it would hear you. She thought of a story her uncle told her about poachers using sound lines to track game at night. She didn't like how that thought felt, so she headed back toward the tower, where the moonlit ground was clean. Her name came again, closer now, from below the ladder. She aimed her phone light and saw nothing, but she heard the faintest click, like a phone camera, much too close to her feet. She climbed 2 rungs and stopped. From the calling tree, the hollow moaned, as if answering the voice. Then, from the old fire road, a second voice, male, whispered her name and someone else's, one of the girls who was supposed to meet her. That's when she realized whoever this was messing with her knew not only her name, but her friend's name as well. She pulled back against the beam of the fire tower. Her heart was beating loud enough to feel it in her teeth. And she did what her dad had drilled into her. Get elevation, get light, and get loud. She climbed halfway up the tower, hit the brightest phone setting she had, and said, steadily as she could, "I've called my dad. He's 5 minutes out." She hadn't called her dad because she didn't have any bars, but someone down there shifted when she said it. The leaves whispered. Minutes later, though she said it felt like an hour, 2 headlights came crawling up along the old fire road and pinned the brush in high beams. She recognized the sheriff's car. She saw someone get out of the car with a bright flashlight and swing it side to side. She saw glints in the undergrowth, bottle glass, and maybe a camera lens. The deputy walked over to the tower, climbed up beside Emily, said nothing for a long time. Then he radioed in a quiet voice, "We'll need another unit." They found the twine that Emily had discovered and 2 more lines that she hadn't, one waist high, one just above the knee, set to catch someone fleeing the first. They found boot prints circling the clearing and a name scratched into the tower leg. Her friend's name, Megan. Fresh, the wood still pale from the carving. Emily's friends, it turned out, had never left their houses. They told her later that they never received her texts. Whoever was stalking her up there already knew who the girls were. The deputy, a friend of her dad's, told her dad later, not in front of her, that he'd seen versions of this before. Sound traps and calling names used to pull kids off trails, make them run where you want them. The deputy said the reports never make the news. But that tower did come down a month later. Maybe the voices out there aren't calling you out. Maybe they're calling you back to a place you can't return from. Some of them speak like the people we've loved and lost. Some of them don't speak like people at all. And some just need you to take a few more steps. If you have ever heard your name called in the dark in the Appalachian Mountains, if a voice paced your light and never showed a face, I would love to hear about it. Please tell me in the comments below.